Navigating through the teenage years is already tricky, with so much going on in our bodies and now so much going on in the world around us. In this series, we're going to explore some of these important topics that can impact us right now in this time during our lives. I'm Kim, and this is Teenacious. We all feel pressure. Pressure to perform, pressure to look good, and some pressure is good for us. It actually helps us achieve what we want to achieve. Have you ever felt so stressed you want to explode? That build up that you feel like you're gonna go crazy? Maybe at assignment time, or when things aren't going well at home, or with your friends? Well, today we're going to explore the topic of stress and how we can deal with those stressful situations in our lives. Everyone is busy. Everyone is stressed. Psychologists are more interested on the impact of stress and the brain right now than any other time in the history of the world. As a counsellor, I counsel more students in assessment or assignment week than any other week out of the year. Why is this? Why do you think this is the case? I sat down with the teenagers to ask them what things are stressing them out. This is what they had to say. Who's ever felt stressed? Put your hand up. What do you guys get stressed about?
Tons of school. Like when you get to school like on the first day and you're like, oh, I'm gonna have nothing, and then you're like, nah, homework, assessment, yeah, and you just get so much, and then you the whole time you're going, oh, this is great. I'm not doing anything, and then you realize that you've got everything like on your back, and then you're like, oh, and you're trying. It's almost like, as a metaphor, like you're trying to walk and all these bricks are in your backpack, and you're like, I gotta get rid of these. But then when you finally get rid of them, it's completely fine. You're just like, this is great.
All right. Who else gets stressed out by schoolwork? Yeah. All right. What else stresses you out besides schoolwork?
I guess like having a future and like a career and like knowing what to do like after high school.
Do you think that society puts pressure on you at school to know exactly what you're doing before you even are in grade 8?
Definitely, like even like in year 10, like we had a set plan interview. We had to like tell them exactly like what uni course we wanted and what subjects we needed and all this stuff, and like
it's stressful.
15-year-olds don't know what they want to do. Like I still don't know what to do, and I'm 18.
Yeah. Some people don't know what to do at 30. Like it's okay not to know. So I'm hearing stress, and I'm hearing what am I going to do with my life, or the pressure that you feel by the school, maybe by mum and dad, to figure out what you're going to do before you know. What other things stress you out?
I find that when you start getting older, there's more things going on in your life. Like I'm on my L's, learning to drive, and so I've got to like focus on that and schoolwork and sport on the weekend and like trying to get a job, all sorts of things I'm trying to do at once. And it's hard to keep up with it. And when you're a kid, you don't really need to look after, like do lots of things like that. So it's like,
so being busy, just being busy make you feel stressed, or having too much on?
Yeah, too much on. So going from a stage where you don't have anything on, like when you're a kid, to a stage where it's just like everything's happening. Yeah. It kind of gets stressful.
Yeah. And pressure to do well in all of the things that you're doing, yeah? Yeah. I sat down with one of my young friends, Amelia, to ask her about the stresses in her life. She's just finished school, and I know when she was at high school, she tried to achieve a lot. She pushed herself really hard, and I wanted to find out what type of stress she was feeling in her life.
the social stresses in my life throughout high school was when I did actually move high schools in grade 10 and 11. And I think that was probably one of the hardest times for me in terms of friendships, because when you think about it, a lot of friendships had been formed in grade 11. So I was coming into this school, only knew a couple of people. They already had tight friendship groups. So it was a bit of a stressful time with those expectations of, what should I be? Like, am I just meant to be an extrovert and just fake it till I make it? Or like, how am I meant to act? Like, it's quite a scary situation for someone who hasn't really been in that new girl situation before. Like, I've always been in the same like youth groups or like swimming groups, running groups, gym groups. So I've never had that. I never had that situation of, okay, what is it like to be the new girl? I did come into another stress in my life, and that was academic stress. So this group of friends that I did find at my new school, they were the academic nerds, you could say, which is fantastic in terms of motivation, but they were all high achievers. A lot of them were duxers of the classes. One of my friends was actually the dux of the school. So there was a lot of pressure in this group to achieve highly, and I found that myself because personally I am a high achiever too. I always strive to understand topics fully, to get the best I can and to get the best marks I can, and for me anything less than an A was not exactly the best. So there was that constant pressure each and every time I went to class, and if I didn't understand something, I'd start getting these negative thoughts in my head of, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, how am I going to pass this course?
How does it feel to be stressed? Like, what does it feel like to be
I feel
stressed?
like angry and just like you, I don't know, like you just frustrated.
Yep.
Definitely.
Angry, frustrated?
I guess you feel very like internalized, like everything is just like cooped up inside of you, and you just sometimes you just don't know how to communicate it. And like often I know myself that I can communicate it through, maybe if something bad happens, I'll take it all out on that incident or something like that.
Do you have like an outburst?
Yes. Definitely.
What do you do when you have an outburst?
Oh, I don't know. I cry, like I get angry.
Yeah.
I may just like, I want to be alone sometimes, that kind of thing.
Cool.
I find that heaps of emotions go through my head at the same time.
Yeah.
Like 1 minute I'll just be like kind of sad, down, and the next minute I'll be angry, next minute I'll be happy. It's just kind of like everything happening at the same time.
Like a flood of emotion.
I sort of just like feel burdened, I sort of, and then eventually I sort of just like can't carry like this burden any longer, and I just like sort of drop and like I just break down, and so just like I just can't like handle the burden.
Yeah, can't handle it. Yeah, stress is stressful.
Well, for me, usually when I'm stressed, for me, it's more like my heart starts pounding, but I'm more angry at myself because I usually inflict it upon myself with leaving things last minute or just procrastinating things that could have been done easily if I just had organised my time. But I think a lot of times it's just I'm angry at myself and I inflict it on other people around me because it could have been easily sorted out if I just, put more effort into it. So.
Yeah, right. So then you get more stressed because you're like putting it all on yourself.
And then adding on to that, you have all the family pressures as well at home. I think most of us as teenagers, we do go through that stage where we want to be free, we want to break away from our family, and we do get that bit of tension, and we do develop that attitude and that desire just to, Mum and Dad, just let me do this by myself. Like, can I go out with my friends? Can I get a car? And there is always that bit of conflict happening between the family. And I know in my life that happened too, especially with my siblings, with my parents, with me always wanting just to be a little bit older than what I was, that little bit more free. So that was a big struggle in my life, and that did affect a lot of my pressures at school as well.
In a recent survey, teenagers were asked what their top 3 concerns about life are. One of those 3 was stress. Stress is a big deal. But when I was a teenager, I didn't really use the word stress to describe how I felt. It's more of an adult word that now teenagers are actually using to describe their emotions. This means it's pretty big. So I want to give you some tips on how to deal with stress. The first one is, I want you to think about your values. What's more important, getting the perfect grade, being the best at something, or is it the way you treat your family or your friends? Or is it just existing, surviving, and breathing? Think about your values. You have to look after your body when you're stressed. When you're stressed, you are using up a lot of energy. So really practical things like drinking a lot of water makes a big difference when you're stressed. The other thing is the types of food that you're eating when you're stressed can actually help you. There's a lot of foods that actually contain this kind of chemical hormone called serotonin. Now, serotonin is referred to as the happy hormone, okay? And when you're stressed or you're feeling pressure, it's good to increase the foods that contain serotonin. Things like potato, lettuce, things like bananas, they all contain serotonin. So think about those things. So tell me what you do when you're stressed to help alleviate that stress. What's some things that someone could do?
You can just like be with friends or do something you enjoy to like forget about that, and when it's time, just go back to it and face it.
Yep.
When you're ready.
Yep. So be around friends, do something you enjoy. Yep.
I tend to just like tell like mum or dad, and then like just sit down and just have a calm mind and have a cup of tea.
Cup of tea always helps.
Yeah. And then you just go through it step by step, like as you're stressing, try to do it all the same instead of trying to rush through it. And I call it being brain dead when I'm trying to work through something and I've already gone through a whole day of school and my brain is just like, I cannot work any longer. Yeah, so if you just like relax and just think it through logically and step by step, it'll just go through and you'll eventually get it done and not be stressed.
Step by step is a really good thing because when you're stressed, everything comes together in one big ball of stress. But if you pull it into steps of, okay, well, I can do this about this and I can do this, and not lumping it all together is definitely a really good way to handle stress.
Well, usually for me, I can be stressed about something, but I tend to like overthink it and it becomes something that isn't as much of an issue as I make it out to be. So like I find sometimes that like if I just say a prayer or something, or just kind of like calm myself down and separate things up, and you know, you kind of start to realize that it isn't as much of an issue as I need to make it to be. So
Yep,
yeah.
that's good.
I find, because I'm quite busy with all my co-curricular activities and stuff like that, I get stressed during school or after school, but I find my co-curricular activities really calm me down. They just give me something to focus on for that time being. So like my music, I really enjoy my music, and so I'll have like a rehearsal or something or practice at home, and it just really calms me down and just gets me to focus on that one thing and not worry about the other stuff.
And I think physically, and I guess research shows that doing physical activity is really good for stress. So getting out, having a run, playing soccer, playing football, doing all those things does help get out all of that pent up, you know, adrenaline that you can have. And music is an amazing de-stressor, especially when you enjoy the music. If it's music that you don't like, that was probably going to make you more stressed. But if it's music that you like, actually psychologically, it actually does increase really good happy hormones in your brain. So that's actually a really good thing. Sleep is intrinsically connected to all the chemicals and hormones in your body, and especially that hormone serotonin that I told you about. So when you're not getting good sleep, it can make you more stressed and can upset your emotions and your hormones. So getting a good sleep is really, really important. Now, if you're someone who loves to get on social media or play that computer game just before bed, sometimes that's going to make you more awake just before you go to sleep because of that light that's behind your screen. So having an hour of screen-free time before sleep can help you actually go to sleep better.
Actually, that some stresses in my life are actually not terrible. They're not the end of the world, and sometimes they're actually healthy in some ways. When I came to that school, that stress from developing friendships allowed me to be more bold, to be more brave, to stand up, to make those connections, to instigate those friendships, and not just to hide and let friends come to me or look after me. It's like time to take my stand, to step out of my comfort zone and to create those friendships. And it really does benefit you in all elements of your life. And with the academic stress, it really helps you to humble yourself and to acknowledge that academics isn't exactly the thing that's going to define you in your life. Stress is still healthy in a way where it would help me work hard and it would motivate me to achieve the best grades I could. But there is also that element of this isn't the end of the world if I don't get the best grade. I can try my hardest, but it isn't the end of the world if I don't get that mark, because there are so many more important things in life than getting that A on the paper. And using the family stress in the life as well, it's acknowledging that conflict between the family is normal and it is going to happen, and it's just like taking that step back and going, am I using my family as a barrier to stepping past stress, or am I just keeping them in the way to becoming relaxed and focusing on what I really need to focus on in school?
The other thing is to have a positive outlook, to tell yourself this too will pass, that dark moments, that stressful moments will end and a new day will come. It's going to be okay. Be gentle with yourself during those times. Don't kind of keep pushing and not cutting any corners. When I'm stressed, I have this list of things that I can do that only take 10 minutes so it doesn't stress me out more. So short things that I can do that bring me joy. So write yourself a list of like 10 things, and just, if you're really stressed, look at them. It might be, I'm gonna have a little piece of chocolate, or I'm gonna ring someone that I love and they're gonna make me laugh, or I'm just gonna go out into the sun and close my eyes and breathe. Just things like that will make a massive difference. And if you stop and do those moments, it will make a massive difference when you're stressed. I think that in all these tips, there's something for everyone to apply to their lives when they're stressed. I hope it has helped you. There's a saying that I really love about stress, and it says, don't forget to smell the roses. You know, I literally smell roses. I love the smell of roses, and wherever I'm anywhere and there's a rose, I always stop and I smell the rose. And it has this most amazing smell, and it gives me that 1 second to just breathe in, smell this beautiful aroma, and it makes me de-stress. Knowing 1 or 2 simple solutions when you're stressed, being proactive about your stress, just as you are about your achievements, just as you are about all the other areas of your life, will help you to continue on. You don't want to hit the end of school, the end of grade 12, and be so stressed that you aren't able to continue on to the university degrees that you want to do. So look after yourself. Your life is important. Remember that this too will pass. You are not alone, and be nice to yourself. So have a great, unstressful couple of days after this episode, and I'll see you for another episode of Tenacious soon.
I'm Bishop Eugene Hurley from the Diocese of Darwin, which takes in the whole of the Northern Territory of Australia. And I'm delighted that Shalom Ministry is now in a position to bring some of that good news to the rest of Australia and indeed to the world. Because we live in a world where the media is so influential. It dictates so much of our learning and our attitudes. And so it's so important that the good news of Jesus Christ has to be made available to all people, because it's what we each need as human beings to enliven us, to make us more loving, and indeed to bring about peace in the world. So it's this good news that the Shalom Ministry is trying to get across to Australia now. Let me invoke God's blessing upon Shalom Ministry and all who work within it and all who are the subject of its good work. May the blessed Almighty God, Father, Son and Holy Spirit descend upon the Shalom Ministry and all who work in it and all their families. May keep them at peace forever. Amen.